I got this out for a experiment I want to do. And I wanted a VCR that has a circuit board on top that I could desolder one of the heads. This is a 4-head model. As you can see, it is not a dual azimuth, because you can see that head and that head are close. The same here. They're close but not the same. This is not hi-fi. This is just 4-head. But it is the old traditional 4-head.
Ievan äiti se kammarissa virsiä veisata huijuutti, kun tämä poika naapurissa ämmän tyttö kadui.
There's been discussions about what the extra heads are for. We know that they're used in special effect features like fast forward scan, rewind scan, pause, frame advance, slow motion, and it especially helps in SP mode. And we know that like a 3-head VCR, you have 2 playback heads and 1 special effects or trick head they call it. But in a 4-head model, are those 2 extra heads just used for special features and trick head, or are they actually used for playback? My understanding is that they are used for playback, and that's why a 4-head model will play SP in slightly better quality. Because instead of having 2 heads that are kind of in the middle between EP and SP, and they lean more towards EP in terms of width, that way you can play EP back. They'll play SP, but you won't get that extra bandwidth, I guess you could say, when you're playing SP back. So you won't get the benefit in video quality as much as on a 4-head model. That's my understanding anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out on this VCR, so you can find out with me if that's true, at least for this model. So, hit play. I've got a EP recorded tape here.
The Montel Williams Show.
Let's do the tracking.
Tomorrow at 4 on Channel 4. This woman was about to be thrown through a windshield.
And as you can see, that is EP recording.
Tonight,
it's playing back reasonably well.
Make them a family again. I love you. On my honor. Lindsay Wagner and Barry Bostwick, the world premiere of Danielle Steele's Once in a Lifetime.
So, you can see that one's working. And here I have an SP recorded tape. And as you can see, it's playing back in SP. And yeah, this machine doesn't have very good picture. I believe there's a lot of noise coming from the power supply. This power supply needs some work. But this is more just to test my video head hypothesis. So next, let's desolder a head. Alright, ready to do this. So if you take a look at this head, or this head drum, you can see I've desoldered something. I don't know which heads these correspond to, but I figured I can pick one, and it's 1 and 4, and really all I want to do is prove that by removing one of these, I will affect video playback on only 1 speed. So now that this has been disconnected, we can grab the EP tape, pop it in, it's powered on. I've also hooked up a CRT television, because if I have removed one of the fields from the video, then there's a good chance that this flat screen won't sync up. What I mean by one of the fields of the video is, the way these video head drums work is there's 2 heads to play back video. 1 per field, so interlaced video, each frame of video is 2 fields interlaced, so it goes, the lines are basically like every second line is the same field. And if you want to look it up, I'll probably link a good description of what interlaced video is. But the long and short of it is, with each rotation of this video head drum, it does a full frame of video. But each one of these heads only does 1 field of that. So if I remove 1 video head, I should be getting half of the interlaced video, which will be sort of a back and forth flicker between no signal and signal. And since I've done only 1 of these, 1 of 4 video heads, it should only do it on 1 playback speed. So let's try EP. Looks fine to me. Looks perfectly fine. So, that was not an EP head. Now, we'll try the SP tape. Huh. Interesting. So, oh yeah, I lost it. But that TV, you could see for a second that I'm only getting half the video signal, and the way the LCD is dealing with it is an LCD will have circuitry that will convert interlaced to progressive, which means that each frame is a full picture, essentially. And so you can see the picture there is kind of garbaged. Now, what I'm seeing when I look at this TV here, to my eyes, is this noise is flickering very fast, like 60 hertz flickering, between a video picture and no picture. If I kind of move in here, you can see I can lock in to this one field of video. I wish I could show this on the camera properly, but it's very, very hard. But let's try fast forward. Yeah, fast forward's rolling back and forth. It's the same noise. You can see the same noise on there. Hit pause. So what this tells me is that the head that I desoldered was one of the SP playback heads for one of the fields, which kind of proves my point. When you're looking at 2-head versus 4-head, it's not just for the special effects. The special effects are the most obvious advantage, especially when you're playing back SP. Your fast forward scan, rewind scan, pause looks very clear, it's very nice, but playback quality on SP will be better. And that seems to vary depending on the manufacturer, the how high-end the machine is. A lot of commercial machines will have very wide SP heads, so you'll get excellent SP playback. Same with SP only VCRs. They'll have heads that are tuned ideally for the same, like the gap of the head will match very well the width of the SP track going on the tape, so you'll get very good picture quality. So again, it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer, but 4-head does matter for playback quality. And because I can't just leave well enough alone, I have gone a step further. So I marked, this is the one that I originally desoldered. I've reconnected it. Now I picked the head directly beside it, because the idea is if this head is used for SP, then the head opposite it will also be used for SP, because they need to be 180 degrees away from each other, so one swipes, then the other swipes, and they get the full video. The spacing between the this head and then the other head for the other speed depends, and the way these are configured, for playback it really doesn't matter. The whole idea of the dual azimuth or double azimuth is for special effects. By putting the heads side by side, when you're using this head or you're using the SP heads opposite each other, you can also switch over to one of the EP heads right beside, and because it's 180 degrees, you get a clearer picture. I think I might be misdescribing it, but at any rate, dual azimuth, double azimuth really has no effect on playback, because again, you still are only ever using 2 heads to play video. So long and short of it is, I've desoldered the one beside there. So let's try an EP tape now. Interesting. So tracking, you can see the tracking affecting the picture that's there a little bit when I adjust it, but overall, the picture is garbled. So what about on the CRT? Turn this glare off. Yep. The exact same looking result as SP. The picture is a little bit more stable though, which is interesting. Actually, the camera's really syncing well. I have to move in for there to be a problem. And let's try like a scan. Still problematic. Try pause. Yeah, so the problem exists on both playback and the special effects. See, now you're seeing it fine, but if I kind of move in, yeah, there we go. And finally, what does it look like when I play back the SP tape? So again, it's SP, that's a multimeter. There we go. I can adjust the tracking, get a nice clean picture. Picture perfect. Picture perfect. So, I think that definitively shows what the 4 heads on this VCR are for. You saw that when I removed one of the heads, it affected the playback of that speed and also the special effects. So having 4 video heads does have more advantages than just the special effects. Now I mentioned the 3 head having the same playback as a 2 head, but the special effects quality of a 4 head. There's also 5 head, and 5 head I believe has the playback quality of 4 head, but just has even better special effect quality than a 4 head. Because even on a 4 head VCR, let's see here, you will get little bars. It's not going to be perfect. But my understanding is those early 80s 5 head VCRs will have better special effects than a lot of the 4 heads you see. But I believe it's close to what dual azimuth accomplishes. That's why you don't see 5 head VCRs anymore. The 80s were a wild time for all sorts of crazy stuff. There was an RCA, I believe it was a Hitachi made RCA model that was advertised as 7 heads. So that was a 5 video head model that had 2 hi-fi heads. Most VCRs after that time period were always late, at least in North America, were always advertised just the video head count. They didn't do crazy things like I see a lot of European VCRs that say it's a 6 head VCR. Well, no, 2 of those are for audio. We don't count those. But yeah, there's all sorts of different varieties of head configuration. I did a video showing the flying erase head that spins with the drums, so it erases the video track as it's being recorded, right before it's being recorded, so you get a nice clean edit. So yeah, these are pretty neat, and then there's so many different head widths as well. So one brand will have different head widths between here and here. Sometimes one of the SP heads will be extra wide, the other one will be a little narrower to accommodate special features or picture quality or what have you. So it's very hard to find that information too. Anyway, I hope this was helpful or informative. It was for me.